Have you ever wondered why you're not getting some of the code in React Native when you're reading the code? And one of those reasons might be that you're not familiar with functions. React Native uses functions a lot. And in this video, we're going to go over functions that are used in React Native, such as your plain functions, arrow functions, and anonymous functions. Think of it like a black box where it takes something in and out something comes and it changes. So the black box itself would be the statements in the function, and the input would be the parameters, and the output would be what it returns at the end. And also I want to point out that adding would be having two inputs, and then the output would be one number. So that would be like a function with adding. And we're going to write it in JavaScript itself. And we're going to first do how to do it in a plain function, and then how to do it in lambda notation. I want to show the template for a function. First, you need the function keyword. This needs to be spelled correctly, of course. And then the function name. And the function name can be anything. This has to say, the function keyword needs to say function. So for our example, we would have like add to numbers or something like that for the name, or just add. And then we need parentheses, and inside the parentheses we need the input. And that input can be separated by commas. So in our example, we're going to have like x comma y. And then we can have some statements here. We need the return statement keyword. So this needs to be exactly. It's going to return that for the function when it's called. So this is called the function definition. When you run the function definition, it's not ran. It's just like loaded into memory and it's ready to go. Once you call it by doing the by like outside the function, running function name and then parentheses and some real values, you'll run it. Just keep that in mind. I have my terminal ready to go. I'm gonna make a new file, make directory for JavaScript projects. So I'm gonna do JavaScript projects, and I'm gonna cd to it, and I'm just gonna make a file, and I'm gonna call it like hello or some bim function. I'm gonna do function demo. Function add demo.js. And then from there we can actually start typing our function. So like I said, we need the function keyword. So you need the function keyword followed by the function name. So we're gonna call it sum. And then we need the parentheses, and inside the parentheses we need inputs. So it's gonna be x and y. We need the curly braces. We need the return statement, and it's just gonna be x plus y. You might need a semicolon here, just keep that in mind, or a semicolon here. So we'll see what happens. But for now, let's do the console log and run the sum. So it's gonna be console log parentheses, and inside the parentheses we're gonna run the sum. So it's gonna be sum like 1 plus 1 equal 1, and I'm gonna write it, and I'm gonna exit and gonna be node function demo.js. There we go, and that's 2. From now that we made the function, I want to introduce arrow functions. So this is a template for the arrow function. You call constant the arrow function name equals the parameters that goes inside the function, and then the output, or like the statements. So it'll be the statements and then the output right here. So we need the return keyword like before, and let's run it. So we need the constant key term. This is the name of the lambda itself, and we need to give it 2 parameters, since I'm gonna call X and Y since we're adding them together. We need the equal sign greater than the curly braces, and then we can return it in one line, X plus Y. And that's one of the beauties of like Lambda functions. You don't need that. It's just one line instead of 1, 2, 3 to call the function here. Just some people prefer it sometimes. And then to call it, of course, we're going to do the console log. The log. I'm going to say something like in the arrow function of sum. And then I'm going to call it again in the next line. Console log. And I'm going to do, you actually call the name. So it's going to be arrow sum. Arrow sum, and it's gonna be like 1, 2. Well, let's make it 25. Right, I'm gonna write it, and it should be good. Quit, and run it again, and there's an error. And I think I misspelled console, so let's go fix that. Insert console, yeah, here. There we go. Right, quit. Run it again. Undefined. Whew. Okay. Why is it called undefined? Oh, we did not do the keyword, of course. So return. There we go. Right. Quit. Node there. So for the output that it did, it printed out the log here, and then it printed 25, just to make sure that it shows that it works. I just want to say that this is technically an arrow function. It is technically an anonymous function, and all that means is that basically you can throw this into into the parameter of a function that takes in a function. But when you boil it down to, it just means that you can say constant, like some anonymous function function equals, and then you call the function. Basically you call this on the top without the sum, without the function name. There's going to be xy, comma y, parentheses, curly braces, return x plus y. So I'm gonna write it, and then we're gonna call it here console.log. Hey, this is an unanimous function is being called. And I mean technically not anonymous because it already has the name, but whatever. It's just a technicality. So I made the whole function right here, and I brought it down. And let's do a console log where we print out that it's an anonymous function. Calling an anonymous function, and then we call it here. So we're gonna do another console log, and we're gonna call the function itself. So it's gonna be some anonymous function, and it's gonna be like 10, 10. And let's write it and quit and call that thing again. And there we go, it's 20. And I just want to point out that when it comes to React Native, this format is used a lot. I just want to say that in conclusion, React Native uses a lot of functions, and it's very useful for you to know the JavaScript functions, the anonymous functions, the arrow functions, and just the plain functions, like we went over it. And I hope that helps. And please like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps on the algorithm. And see you next time.